So around 2 years ago, I had this feeling to go to Bali. Now, I actually had this feeling for a while, but I ended up dropping everything. Like I quit my job, I left the house that I was staying at, I left the UK, Europe, and moved to Bali. For at the time, it was for 6 whole months. Me and my girlfriend went out here just to follow this calling. Now, if you're watching this video, chances are I know that you probably have a similar calling to go to Bali or some place like that. However, you probably aren't following that feeling. Why? Well, in this video, I want to share with you personally my experiences and why I know that if you're having this feeling, there's a very high chance that you should be going to Bali. But also, I'm going to share with you a few things that you can tap into to actually feel yourself. Is this for you? Is this something that is not just a random thought in your mind, but something that you should actually be following, a calling that you should be following for a very special reason that maybe you're not even aware of in this moment, but will become apparent very soon. So first things first, we need to get into an agreement into why do you feel like you should go to Bali? Why do you feel this calling to go? There generally is two main reasons, and ask yourself, which reason is it for you? The first reason is something like maybe, okay, let me just say bluntly, that your mind has been marketed to in a very amazing way to the point where you think that it's your thought, but it's not actually your thought. It's just that you've seen the Instagram post, you've seen the blue seas, you've seen the coconut water, you've seen the amazing villas, you've seen your friends going to Bali, you've heard so much about Bali. So your mind has been subconsciously conditioned to feel like, hey, I want to go to Bali. If I go to Bali, everything's going to be better. Well, let me just tell you the truth, okay? If that is the reason that your mind has been marketed to so amazingly by these amazing marketers in this year with AI, with everything that's happening, then chances are probably your thing is not actually necessary to go to Bali. Now this might sound like a surprise because I'm going to share with you if it is your reason to go to Bali in a moment, but if this is the case, actually, if you're going to Bali for an escape, or you're going to Bali because you've heard that the food is really good, or it's really cheap out there, or you can go to amazing villas, have some amazing views of rice fields and different things, or go to Asia, experience the heat. Actually, you could go online right now and find so many places that are cheaper than Bali, so many places that may have even better views than Bali. Not saying that Bali doesn't have cheap places or expensive places or amazing villas or amazing views, not saying that, but I'm saying that if your goal is just to go somewhere for an escape, actually there may be some other place out there that is a better fit for you, right? If you were to just go online, you can go online right now, well you're already online, but you can go to the Internet Explorer, you can search in best places to visit just like Bali, that fit your needs, whether your needs is a luxury villa, or visa, or whether your needs is a luxury visa, or your needs is somewhere cheap, or your needs is somewhere with a nice view, or your needs is somewhere with a nice energy, you can go compare. It doesn't have to be Bali. However, okay, I'm saying that very objectively because if most people ask me, should I go to Bali, Josh, my immediate answer is yes, go. But the reason why I'm saying it like this is because for a large portion of your life, the things that you think that are your reasons to do something aren't actually your reasons to do something. It's just that it's been marketed so well that you think it's your reason. However, I know that I'm speaking to you right now because I know that you're watching this video because your reason for wanting to go to Bali or feeling to go to Bali isn't just the marketing, isn't just the Instagram post, isn't just the amazing websites that show you how these amazing deals look, or these villas, or these anything in there, or your friends saying. I know that for you, the reason why you feel to go to Bali is something deeper than that. Something that isn't down to marketing, isn't down to conditioning, isn't down to the social environment. It's that you just have this pull, just this feeling to go. And if that is your reason, if that is your feeling where you just have this feeling, you don't know why. It's not necessarily the marketing, not necessarily anything else. It's just this feeling to go. Then my answer to you is that you definitely need to go. I know this seems like a very quick answer, but I'm going to explain why. You see, for me and actually my girlfriend, we had this same feeling. We actually, around 2 years ago, we quit our job. Some of you who are following the channel, you will know exactly why. But not to go into that. So we quit our job, we dropped pretty much everything, and we had this feeling to go to Bali. We didn't know what, what that period where you're at a crossroads in life, like a fork in the road, and it's kind of like you could go this way, you could go that way. Generally, one way is more safer, and one way is more like unexplored, kind of like producing risk in the mind, where the mind just feels like, why the heck would I do that? Let me do the safe thing first. However, sometimes that feeling is stronger than even that security. So I remember at this point, we both had this feeling, like we hadn't discussed it explicitly, but we both had this feeling to go to Bali. Then when I mentioned it and my girlfriend mentioned it, we were like, whoa, we both had this feeling. Then we didn't know exactly when, but we just had a feeling that we need to go at some point soon. Like, we couldn't see the date. We just could feel like in a few months, we just need to go out there. We don't know why, we don't know what, we don't even know much about Bali, like which areas to go, what to do. We've seen so many posts on it online, but what to do there wasn't really a thought. It was just a knowing that we need to go. So unlike the majority of people, we follow that feeling, right? And that's why I'm going to be sharing with you to be like unlike the majority of people, because something very, very special happened out there. Now, I wrote down a few things I definitely want to cover, because sometimes in flow, I kind of miss this topic. I'm like, oh, at the end of the video, I'm like, why didn't I say that? However, so I wrote some things down because I don't want to miss a few things. And first things first, actually, I do want to say, so we can sometimes say Bali as just like a whole. But obviously Bali is a relatively small island, but it has many different areas. And depending on which area you go, you will actually get a different energy, a different vibe, a different feeling, a different life experience. So, for example, there's some areas like Kuta, like Seminyak, like Canggu that are more touristy. There's a lot of people there. So when you go there, you will feel the natural nice energy of Bali, but you will also feel the touristy aspect as well. Now there's pros and cons, because there's other areas a bit more like north, maybe past even Ubud, Tegalalang and all these different areas, which aren't as touristic, but produce different energetic effects in your life. Now, I know this might sound a bit woo-woo, a bit out there, a bit crazy, but I'm sharing this because, okay, we had that feeling to go to Bali. This is how it happened. We had that feeling to go to Bali. We didn't know when, we just knew that we wanted to. So we quit our jobs, didn't tell anyone that we were quitting, didn't tell anyone that we were going to go to Bali. We quit our jobs. We then booked tickets to go to Bali in around, I think, a month or 2 months after this. Tickets weren't the cheapest. Tickets weren't the cheapest at that point. Why? Because, man, it was like next month, 2 month period. But it was this aligned feeling that we just knew we needed to go then. I kid you not. Around 1 day later, we had a friend. She's actually a fairly big YouTuber, actually. Some of you guys may know her. She messaged both of us and she said, hey guys, I don't know, I had this feeling, but you guys should come to Bali. I'm in Bali right now. You guys should come to Bali. Now, when we heard that, bear in mind, this friend, we hadn't spoken to in a while. It's one of those friends that, you know, you can have a friend, some friends that you need to keep speaking to, like to keep that relationship going. Other friends, like the real ones, it's like you don't need to speak to them forever, but then you have that conversation. It's like you pick up where you left off, like one of those friends. So this is one of those friends where I just haven't spoke to like a year properly, but just messaged like, hey guys, randomly, you guys should come to Bali. I'm in Bali right now. What are your thoughts? And we were like, whoa, we haven't told anybody that we're going to Bali. We barely even told ourselves that we're going to Bali, just this random feeling. Then this friend messages us, we're like, whoa, feeling. Then someone messages us, it's like, maybe this is like a sign or just some calling to Bali. So we're like, okay, we're on the right path. Then on the travels to Bali, some craziness happened actually on this travels, but I'm not going to explain it here. Maybe in a future video I'll explain, because yeah, when you talk about tests from the universe or test of your soul or test of your characters was huge. But maybe one day we'll get to share that. I'll get to share that with you. But anyway, while on this travel, we had this craziness happen, but still had this feeling of like Bali was just this energy, just calling us, just pulling us. So we followed that feeling. When we came to Bali, the first week, the first 10 days, we spent it in Kuta, which is a very, very touristic, very, very busy area. And we could feel like just by landing in Bali, the energy was much more softer. The energy was much more peaceful, much more gentle, but there was still that hustle and bustle on the surface, which is like the touristy aspect that we were experiencing. But anyway, it was still nice going from like UK, Europe, hustle and bustle to Bali. Then after that 10 days, we went to an area just past Ubud. I believe it's called Tegalalang, something like that. Tegalalang, you can look it up online. When we went there, crazy things started happening. Why? Because as soon as we got there, the energy was very different, less touristic, but also what I feel is like, there's just like a different energetic vortex there. Now this might sound a bit out there, a bit woo-woo, a bit crazy, but the reality is, depending on where you are in the world, there are different things. Like, for example, you could go to one aspect of the world and there'd be so much greenery, so much forest. You can go to another aspect where there's no greenery, it's just pure desert. You could go to one aspect where there's a waterfall. You could go to another part of the world where there's no waterfall, but there's springs, natural springs producing lovely water, healing water. You could go to another part of the world where there's no waterfall, no springs, just loads of humans in the hustle, in the inner cities, for example. Now, same like that, when you get that distribution around the world, you also get a distribution in the energy. So some parts of the world, some people call them, for example, the human body. Some people say, you have your chakras, your energy points. Actually, people don't, not just people say, this is the reality, okay? I don't know why I'm trying to sugarcoat this. The reality is you have different energy centers, different meridian points. But so too does the world. It has different energy centers, different meridian points. So depending on where you are in the world, you can get access to these meridian points, which have different, you could say, healing properties, different properties that allow you to go inwards into healing the things that need to be healed, or even tapping into higher levels of consciousness. Now, if this is a bit too woo-woo for you, okay, you can stop the video now. You can take my advice. If you had that feeling to go to Bali, just go to Bali. You don't need to listen to the rest of this video, right? This is just for you if you are feeling like you're actually open to this energetic stuff, talking about energy and different things like that. So if you are, congratulations, continue with the video. Beautiful, it's good to see you here. So when you have these different vortexes, energy centers, different things can happen in your life. Different things can be triggered to either release or to allow you to reconnect to a different higher source, whether you say God, creator, higher self, whatever you call it, universe. But also there's some places in the world where there are these energy vortexes. However, because there are so many people in a certain frequency or certain vibration, right, maybe some inner cities where there is a good energy there, but because people are doing work 9 to 5, hustle and bustle, the rat race kind of grind, that energy can mask it. A bit like when we went to Kuta, the first place we went to in Bali, where the energy was nice there, but there was this touristic, lots of hustle and bustle, busy energy over the top, which could feel the difference, especially if you are perceptive of energy. So some of you might be living in a nice energy vortex, because there's so many people around, you don't get to feel the true benefits of this energy vortex. And actually, you can go into different conspiracy theories about this. Like some people have shown that some of the main cities are actually created on these ley lines, right, to different things, but that's a different scenario. However, bringing back to Bali now, okay, if you guys are interested in that stuff, let me know in the comments, because yeah, I used to dive deep into a lot of this stuff, a lot of the truths to this reality. So I'll be happy to share them with you. But coming back to Bali, so when we went from Kuta to Ubud, or past Ubud into Galalang, now we were feeling this like energy vortex, this energy, not consciously, subconsciously. How do I know it was subconsciously? Because when we got there, all of a sudden, emotions that we hadn't felt in ages, maybe some might call it suppressed emotions, started to come up. In the sense where I didn't know why I was feeling these emotions, but then all of a sudden, some people were even having tears coming out of their eyes, like feeling like they were crying. Some people were having like just feelings of just different sensations, different feelings from the past that I hadn't really thought about or felt about before, but just coming through. And this is because now, without so many people there, in this heightened energy, these things were coming up. Then around a few days into this, we had this crazy experience. I've spoken a bit about it on one of my previous videos, where we literally, you know, when you talk about intuition, you know, being able to tap into things that maybe haven't happened yet, but can tap into things that will happen. Right? I'm sure if you've had experience with intuition, let me know in the comments. Just type in intuition or something. Just let me know. I just want to get a gist of how many people really do tap into this stuff. But when we were there, when we say intuition, it was almost like intuition or tapping into this higher creative power went from like being drip fed into our consciousness to boom, the tap was open, and then it was like a direct connection to something a lot deeper. I'll just keep it like that. I don't want to go too deep into this because I'll explain this on a previous video on my channel. However, for now, something deeper happened. From that moment on, bearing in mind, that was not the reason why we went to Bali. Well, consciously, we were being called and pulled to Bali. Now looking back, we know that was one of the main reasons why we were pulled and called to go to Bali at that period. Why? Because since that moment onwards, life has never been the same again. In terms of physical, in terms of finances, love life, health, deeper spiritual purpose and fulfillment, never been the same again. So this is why this was our experience, but why I wanted to share with you, because I know that some of you here are feeling this call to go to Bali, but you're not listening to it. Why? Because logically it doesn't make sense. Logically it's like, but I've got this to do, I've got to take care of these people in my family, I've got this work to do, I've got the kids, or I've got my loved one, or I'm so busy right now, now's not the good time. But you see, your logical mind can only base things on what's happened in the past or what it knows. Your illogical feelings, but not so illogical, if you want to say intuition or heart, can feel something that's a lot deeper, pulling you there. That's why you have that pull. It doesn't make logical sense, but you have that pull. That's why I said at the beginning, why I got rid of all the people at the initial bit who said, if you've been marketed to and you feel like you just want to go because you've seen the Instagram post, everything like that, that's the only reason, then don't need to watch this video. Right? But for you watching this video, I know that you're still watching this because you have this deeper feeling to go to Bali or to go to somewhere deeper. because there's a very special, very divine reason for it. But if you don't listen to it, what will happen is your life will continue being the same, right? Not much will change, right? Maybe things will change, but on the level that it could have changed, it won't be the case. However, if you decide to trust yourself, act on that feeling, act on that knowing, then not only will you start to change life, but you can actually quantum shift, quantum jump into a whole new timeline. Now, I know I started off very logical and now we're going very deep. Those of you who do know me know that I love to go deep. This is the main stuff that I talk about. However, I just want to say, if you're having that feeling, follow it. My actual advice right now is because, okay, two things. One is if you have that feeling, follow it, and don't just follow it, act on it to the best of your ability. In the sense where don't just say, hey, I'm going to go to Bali for a week. Why? Because if you go to Bali for a week, you're going to do some of the touristy stuff and you're not going to be able to do the second thing that I'm going to recommend for you. So I'm going to recommend anyone who has that feeling, go for either 1 month or 2 months, right? Minimum. Listen to what I'm saying. Trust me, you can go somewhere, get some of the effects, but not get that true effect. And I know that if I just went for a week, I would have not have experienced that thing that I mentioned to you. And it's not just me. I'm explaining this because I know that so many people are called to Bali and different energy vortexes like this. So it's your time to listen. So that's the first thing. Go for at least a month, right? 2 months ideally. When you're there though, schedule your time. If you go for a month, have at least 21 days where you haven't got plans to do anything. Not to say that you don't do anything, but you allow yourself to go inwards and go with the flow of where you need to go, right? If you go for a month and you spend 21 days going with the flow, you still got 9 days to do the touristy stuff. Maybe you go to Kuta first, Seminyak first, Canggu first. Then for the next 21 days, you go somewhere deeper, a bit more quieter to tap into this energy, because you will be surprised what comes from this. Trust me. You know, if nothing comes from this and you book your flights to Bali, you go there, don't feel anything, nothing happens, you come back, then two things. One thing is that you didn't act on it to the best of your ability and you were too busy, stuck in the mind, thinking, okay, I'm going to plan this, going to do this, going to do this. Or, you know, maybe there was nothing there for you and you can come back and dislike this video. But I'm pretty sure, I guarantee, I don't think anybody will tell you to dislike their video. That's how sure I am that there is something for you there, especially if you're watching this long. And I just looked at the time of this video, it says 17:17. So very divine message for you here. So book it in, go there. The reason why those 21 days, or at least where you have nothing, is because this is where the mind can settle. The mind's not thinking, let me do this, let me plan this, let me do this. Not to say you don't do anything, you still do things, but you just allow whatever the energy guides you to do, you go there. You experience, you have some introspection, maybe you journal, maybe you record some videos, maybe you ask yourself some deep questions. Actually, if you go to some of these deeper places, just the energy there will trigger some of these deep experiences. So that is my recommendation. One final thing that I did note down is don't go to Bali or somewhere to be saved. Sometimes people go to these places and think, hey, if I go here, my whole life will change. But actually they're just treating it like an escape and giving all their power to the external. You have the power within. So this is why I'm recommending you go, if you are feeling that calling to go to Bali or somewhere like that, it's because I know that it's not that you're going to get something from there. It's going to be a portal that allows you to open and access something that is deep within you. You know what I mean? Deep within you, already within you. It's just going to give you that gateway to allow the mind to settle, be in that heightened energy and receive that divinity that is within you. That message, that thing that's within you. Last thing I will say before I finish this video. If you go to Bali or somewhere else and you feel like, actually, I feel the energy, but I haven't really got a message or something hasn't come through, cool. You've got what you needed. For us, actually, it wasn't just that one experience that happened. There was some things that happened even after leaving Bali that also were to do with Bali. We know it, but we only saw the effects after. So follow that feeling, trust that guidance. You will receive everything that you need to receive all the way from within to you in this time and space. Other than that, I trust you enjoyed this video. If you've got any questions, let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video or got any value from it, hit the like button, subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next one.